Today is a special day in the history of League of Legends because today we're witnessing a vault in which that Chovy, the best laner and best player in the world, got absolutely destroyed. Like, I'm not even putting it lightly. Absolutely annihilated, dominated by Showmaker in the classic Orianna versus Syndra Mage v Mage matchup. So we're going to be breaking this one down, of course. And we're going to be doing that firstly by just going through the vault. I'm not really going to pause. We're just going to go through the vault. We're just going to break it down. We're going to commentate over it. And then afterwards, we're going to dissect every minor detail by rewatching the vault and just getting into the details, really, getting down and dirty. So initially, control match versus control match matchup. What do we know? Orianna versus Syndra. The one that gets the push has the one that has the trade advantage, mainly because of the fact that you get more trading windows upon the enemy. If you have already last hit your minion and the enemy needs to last hit their own minion still, what we'll see is that you're going to be in a position in which that you're going to get a possibility in which that you can land your ability onto the enemy while they still need to last hit. So both of these players are fighting incredibly hard for the push. This is a control match versus control match matchup, so shit will get dirty here. Which also means that if you want to get the push, you can probably get it, but you need to trade some HP for it. That's also what we're seeing right here. Chovy tries to get the push, but he's actively trading his HP for the push. And what's happening in the meantime is that Showmaker gets this massive, massive advantage when it comes to the trades because of his spacing, because of his ability usage being insane in this particular lane, and forcing Chovy onto a reset at level 2. Is this something that you don't see all that often, that Chovy just gets forced to base without even being able to buy an item? This is absolutely unique. And what we know about Syndra versus Orianna is that both of these champions have very similar ranges when it comes to their Q. Both of their Q ranges are like really, really close to each other. That's why this matchup is such a skill matchup. And you can really see that Showmaker's mastered this matchup. He's mastered the champion Syndra, and he's absolutely punishing the fact that Chovy has less experience in this matchup. And he's just completely gapping him. We also know that Syndra's Q has a 7 seconds cooldown, Orianna's Q has a 6-second cooldown, and that means that Orianna has a slight cooldown advantage in the early game, but it makes up for it because Syndra has got a slight range advantage on her W. So this is a pure skill matchup. And you can see Chovy's already had a base right here. He's TP'd back. Now Showmaker's done the same. Showmaker didn't lose a single creep. Chovy's lost a few creeps right here. And what's happening right now is that Showmaker, because he's so far ahead, even though he's only got a tier over Chovy, he's now using this to pressure Chovy of creeps. And he's doing an incredible job when it comes to landing his ability. I don't think he's missed a single ability. Well, there you go. We jinxed it. And yeah, he's getting this nice small HP advantage, playing the War for attrition, constantly walking up aggressively, going for these insane ability usage onto Chovy, and absolutely putting him under a lot of threat in this lane. And he still needs to collect his wave, and he is already up CS. So he's up about like 8 CS or something like that right here. And that's an incredible, incredible number for 4 minutes 30 into the game. So Chovy feels like he needs to take a reset, but Showmaker holds the wave. Showmaker does a pretty good job just collecting the minions, holding his E right here. And eventually Lee Sin is forced to hover out on this lane because of the fact that the Chovy is just under a lot of threat right here. He's in a lot of trouble. Showmaker tries to cancel Chovy's reset, predicting he's going to be in there. Chovy actually makes an incredible play, flanking him on the opposite side and setting up a gank for the Lee Sin. So Showmaker without E has to like respect the gank. He dodges the Q and he even kills Chovy under turret. And this is literally where it's end of review. So now we're going to be breaking down the details of the lane. And it all starts right here at 1 minute. Because right here, Showmaker already gets a small advantage over Orianna. Let's see how he does that. So you can see that Chovy is late to the lane. Yes, he's on time before the minion spawn, but he's actually too late to the lane in the sense that he now has to give up space of the lane. What happens is if Chovy tries to walk closer towards Syndra, Syndra has the opportunity to Q him and get a small advantage in the lane right here. Because Syndra is already so far up in the lane, Now, Chovy has a really rough time regaining this space in the lane right here. And that gives Showmaker an advantage because the more space you have, especially right now when Chovy uses his Q, the more space you have, the earlier you're going to be able to hit the creeps, the earlier you're going to be able to get the push and therefore create a nice trading advantage, what we talked about earlier. You're going to get an earlier trading window. So what we see right here is that because Showmaker has this space, Chovy tries to regain it, but he tries to skill check Showmaker, and Showmaker just lands the Q. Very nice 1 versus 0 advantage already in the lane. Fantastic start for Showmaker. Now Showmaker has to be a little bit careful because Chovy still's got a Q up while Showmaker's Q is down. This is a heavy cooldown war oriented matchup. And Showmaker now respects until his Q is back up, and that's when he's going to pressure again. So what should Chovy do in the future? Well, in the future, Chovy should actually put a lot of emphasis in going to the lane really early and trying to put his ball out early so he can actually take up space into Showmaker rather than the other way around. And that's going to give you a small advantage in these control match versus control match matchups. The one that's able to hit the wave first, the one that's able to control the space early, is the one that has an advantage in the lane. So in this case, Showmaker respects until his Q is back up. And then he sees that Chovy actually tries to take up space in the lane right here, starts hitting the minions, starts getting the minion advantage right now, and Chovy throws out his Q. We now know that Chovy has a 6-second cooldown onto his ability right here. So what does Showmaker do? He completely ignores the minions, and he just goes for a trade, knowing that his Q is back up, Chovy's Q is down, so he can actually win the trade. And look at the damage difference in this particular situation. Absolutely stellar job by Showmaker. What also means is that if you auto-attack the enemy champion in the lane, you're going to redirect minion aggro. So look at what happens to all of these minions. These minions, instead of lining up cleanly right here, now actually get dragged towards Showmaker, which means that even though his cooldown is down, he now still gets access to auto-attack these minions, and like get some damage onto the wave. Otherwise, he would lose the push really hard because Chovy already got some damage off. And he now has his cooldown coming back up while Showmaker's cooldown is still down, which means that he's potentially getting zoned off the wave. But that doesn't really happen because of the minions being so far up in his area. And look what happens. He knows that Chovy's going to be able to land that Q, otherwise he cannot contest the minions. So he's just happy giving Chovy this Q, taking up space in the lane again. Like, he just doesn't care if he gets hit or not, because he knows that he can just walk up and pressure the Orianna right here and lands his own Q. Beautiful, beautiful example. And he also outspaces Chovy. Chovy needs the last hit right here. You can see that this is the first real trading window in the lane. Chovy needs the last hit. Showmaker recognizes that, steps up, out-attacks Chovy while Chovy needs to out-attack that minion. And Chovy gets absolutely overwhelmed in the mental stack right here. And he takes an out-attack to the face. And right now, because Chovy also used his cooldown, and Syndra's got her cooldown back up, look at this aggressive posturing. And he lands this max range Q, knowing that if he... Like, this is absolutely insane. So, in this particular situation, Chovy needs to last hit this creep real soon. Chovy doesn't like giving up creeps, because what happens is that all of these minions are targeting this creep, so it's going to be having a timer in which that it needs to be last hit, otherwise Chovy's going to lose it. Showmaker recognizes this timer and throws a Q right there, because if Chovy wants to get the creep, he needs to walk forward right now, otherwise he's not going to be in range to get the creep. So Showmaker lands the Q and denies Chovy the creep, so it's like best of both worlds. And right here, does a fantastic job spacing out the Orianna Q, still grabbing the last hit at the back end. And now Chovy's going to reach level 2. We got to be a little bit careful of that. But before Chovy's going to reach level 2, guess what happens? Showmaker recognizes that Chovy wants to last hit this creep right here. So he takes up space in the lane while Orianna's Q is down. And he puts himself in a position where if Chovy wants to last hit this minion, he needs to be in Syndra's Q range. And Chovy tries to fake out the CS. But because Showmaker's spacing is just too good, he actually lands the Q. And now is to respect a little bit when it comes to the level 2 of Orianna. Or so you think. Because Orianna is going to reach level 2 first here. But what does Showmaker do? Showmaker doesn't care. He actually does not care if he gets hit by the Orianna ability, because he now knows that Orianna's abilities are on cooldown. And he's actually fine trading HP right here, losing the HP to get pressure in the lane back. And this is the thing in these control match versus control match matchup, guys. You cannot go unscathed. You cannot avoid getting hit by all abilities. You are going to get hit. So understand that whenever you're going to get hit, do it wisely and get something in return. Trade. Don't just give HP. And right here, we see that because Showmaker took up all this space back in the lane right now, what happens is that Chovy needs to last hit this creep, while Showmaker's creeps are still really high HP, so he doesn't need to last hit. And he actually punishes Chovy perfectly onto that last hit and even denies him the creep. This is painful for Chovy. And now look what happens right here is that Showmaker backs off. He's going to be collecting his creeps all the way back. And Chovy messes up. This is the biggest mistake I've Chovy seen make in a while. This QW ends the lane. It ends the lane. End of review QW right here. Because look at what's going to happen right now. Showmaker knows that Chovy doesn't have a cooldown anymore onto his QW. 7 seconds on W, 6 seconds on Q. While Showmaker still has both of his abilities available. We also see that the wave right here needs to be last hit. It needs to be CS'd. So what Showmaker is going to do is he's just going to walk up right here. Walk up and take all of this space in the lane. And he's going to zone Chovy off the creeps of the experience right there. And get an insane trade because he's able to just walk up. And because Showmaker has already taken these good trades, even though his abilities are a cooldown and Chovy's abilities are going to come back up, he actually walks into Chovy again, which is completely mental, by the way, and like is happy taking up the space and zoning Chovy off the wave. Like the amount of details in this lane, like the way that Showmaker is gapping Chovy right now is something I have not seen before. When I looked at this vault, I was like, holy shit. Like, it's unbelievable. This shit gets me excited, dude. And yeah, we therefore get the TP advantage. Chovy doesn't even get a normal base. He gets no normal items. And because of the wave state that we currently have as Syndra, we can just crash this wave. But before we do that, we first get a nice trade into the Orianna. E plus Q instead of Q plus E because you're in range of E plus Q. You shoot E plus Q because it's guaranteed stack. And we use the big minion wave that we have right here to just guarantee the slow push, get the wave in, and we get this massive, massive crash. Massive base, getting the refill and tier. I personally would have went for M-Tome, but Showmaker goes for tier. I'm not really sure why. I think he's kind of, his build's pretty sus, but we're not really looking at his build, we're looking at his gameplay here. So now we got this massive advantage right here. In the sense that Chovy is down already 200 HP. He's got no TP. We got a small experience advantage. So we want to continue and leverage and push this lead by continuing what we've been doing. Land good abilities onto Chovy while not getting hit by Chovy's abilities. This is a perfect example. If you look at the minions right now, who needs to last hit first? Well, the answer is Showmaker. This creep is going to drop low because two of these casters aggro this creep and 2 melees. So this one needs to be CS'd real soon. We see that Chovy's minions are higher HP. So he has got a time in which that he can punish Showmaker for needing to last hit and can throw his abilities onto Showmaker. This is exactly what Chovy is trying to do. He recognizes that Showmaker needs to last hit that creep, so he tries to throw his Q right there to deny Showmaker the last hit or at least punish some HP for him. Look what Showmaker does. He fakes the CS, he lands it at the last possible second, he gets the creep, and now, because Chovy has got no cooldown, he just walks up and creates all the space in the lane. And you know what? Orianna has to respect, because if she doesn't, she's going to get this massive combo to the face. And look at this perfect timing of this next ability. He uses it while this creep is dying. So either Chovy loses the creep or he's going to get hit by this fat combo. Plus, what we also see is that because this also happens, we also use it in the terrain right here. This makes the skill shot almost undodgeable in the terrain. So this is a perfect skill shot, perfect combo, perfect space control, perfect timing. It cannot get better than this. It is perfection right here, what Showmaker does. So he now used up all of his abilities, and look what happens. Chovy now gets space in the lane. Showmaker respects, but because Showmaker was so deep in, he's completely fine respecting because there's so much room that he can give up before his cooldowns come back up. So he walks all the way back. He walks all the way back, and he doesn't need to last hit a creep, so he doesn't really care anyway. And he's now dancing at the edge, dodges out the Oriana ability, and now look at what happens. He takes up space again. Unfortunately, he misses his Q. I think he could have done a little bit better job, like timing this Q onto this last hit. I think he slightly rushed the Q, especially since Oriana had a Q up. So the lane is not pure perfection. It's almost close to perfection. I do think, though, that if Showmaker would have gotten creative here, what he should have done, he should have actually picked up this melee creep with his W, first throw out his W onto the last hit, and then Q because the W slows, and then he's gonna also be able to walk away and give Chovy some space in the lane again as well. A slight mistake in the ability usage, but still very good. Very good still. And now look at what happens. Chovy uses his Q to CS a creep because he needs to get a ward out, and instantly Showmaker uses this opportunity of the cooldown to just walk forward in the lane, get up all space, get up dirty here into Chovy's face, and look what happens. E into Q, free combination. And Showmaker, funnily enough, has not taken a single ability to the face while he's constantly berating Chovy. It's immense, the mid gap in this particular vault. And then he also dodges out onto this Chovy ability at the end. Like, if we're gonna see this matchup so often at Worlds this year, guys, I fear that Genji may not win. I fear Chovy might lose to the likes of Showmaker and Zinround, Showmaker and Knight on these matchups. Yeah, I'm scared for Genji this Worlds, guys. Chovy needs to put a lot of work in. But we see that in this case, Showmaker just gets the creeps. He's got this beautiful CS advantage. And right here, we get the small little altercation, right? Because Chovy's just done, right? He's got no TP, like lane's over. The mid gap is immense here. It's unbelievable. But we see that right now, Chovy gets some help from the jungle. But still, Showmaker even gaps this. Beautiful flash behind the minion line. Flash behind the minion line, so Lee Sin cannot land Q. And then he dodges the Q at the end. And yeah, we just get this fantastic... Like, Chovy gets just desperate here, right? This is just Chovy being desperate. Chovy doesn't know what to do. So he tries to, like, get the kill. And he dies because of it. Incredibly desperate. And from this point, game is absolutely over. So very inspiring lane here, guys. Incredible, incredible lane from Showmaker. I hope we're going to see this performance at Worlds as well. A lot of small details, a lot of nuances, and yeah, the Worlds is gonna be fantastic for us, guys. This is gonna be the meta. This is gonna be probably the best Worlds meta we've seen in a while. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you guys want to get coached by me, there's also gonna be a link in the description. And otherwise, I'll see you guys real soon with some more content.